Grimm's fairy tales are done, one way or another. I mean, dead serious, or with a modicum of fantasy. I'm a real fan of thinking of horror in that way. I mean, the film takes place in this surrealistic twilight world, and the exterior, you have this sense you're in a sound stage, and 40 years ago that was cool. I mean, it was all right. You didn't see anything strange about that, having exteriors, interior. I wanted to create an unreal world, and I can't really tell you why, because I don't know why. I think it may have been, look, I'm in LA doing a film on a sound stage that has a tank connected to it that was the same tank that is in the opening shot of Sunset Boulevard that William Holden is floating. If I'm going to do this and really commit to it, then to hell, I'll do it. I'll do it in my way, and I'll make something that I haven't seen before. It seems to me that I remember having just finished a screenplay that was a kind of murder mystery based on a true story that took place in Los Angeles around the time of the Chinatown, Polanski's Chinatown was set. And I was trying to get financing for that. But I was still living in Austin and not really being able to get the kind of $10 million, $12 million that was called a big budget movie back then. Someone that worked for me as splicing film and on chainsaw, this guy called me from LA, and he said, there's someone here that wants to hire you, to make this film. And he told me the title, and maybe the title was Death Trap, I'm not sure. And I said, well, I need to read it. And he said, well, no, it seems like he said, no, why don't you come out here and read it? And that was my first experience with that, is, come to this foreign place, and because you won't be going back. And so they had this weird script about feeding stew meat that's poison. Not only is it like cannibal stew meat, but it's on a bayou, and it's on a hotel that has a crocodile that you pay 50 cents to come see the feeding.
Oh, you've seen it, huh? Ain't no ordinary gator. That's a crop. Gators, they can't move fast unless they're in the water. Old crop now, not the same. Outrun a horse.
And there was such a place as that because I'd seen it a lot as a child. I remember my dad, we used to take a lot of road trips, and I drove by a place, that said some, 50 cents to see the crocodiles. The more I worked with the film and the screenplay and all the players on board, the more interested I got in the characters. And then Miss Hattie, who runs the whorehouse, Miss Hattie was a real madam and that worked on the outskirts of town, and just outside Austin city limits, and was protected, I guess, for years. Someone always heard about it on the local news. There would be a shootout at her place, so a lot of these things were being drawn from real life. The largest problem I had straight away was I'd been used to working with Airflexes and NPRs, Eclairs, French cameras that you could pick them up and move them immediately, or even a large 35 millimeter blimp Airflex was weighed 100 pounds or so, but you could get it moved, but I had an old blimped Mitchell, and those things are almost the size of a car, and would sit on a crane, and I couldn't make things move as fast as I'd been used to, like a road runner almost in the next spot.
They done shot up my leg. Didn't hurt nothing much. Give me a scare. Little girl, she done run under my place. Expect I gotta go in there and pull her out.
It seems that things were scripted, pretty completely, and that there was an understanding of Neville's character. Was fashioned after a character that Rolling Stone, or The Village Voice, the oldest man in America, like 120-something years old, who kept healthy by snorting BC headache powder that was, I think, kind of, like it was a patent medicine. But it's kind of like aspirin. The real character would snort that BC headache powder, and his following line was, I feel better already. And he did that quite a few times during the interview.
No, you didn't do that. No. You did. There's a hole in my... Oh, you did, you guys, man. Where is it?
It was more theatrical, probably more in tune with that surreal look. I think, Bill Finley, looking for an eyeball on the floor. That was kind of big. And then Robert Englund was very theatrical and big. Neville was pretty, straight on. Stuart Whitman was kind of straight on. Mel Ferrer was, and a part of that is the look, and a part of it is in behavior. I used the crew from the Andromeda strain because I quite liked that, the way in the Andromeda strain, the way the animals started quivering. There was some kind of force that I can't explain, or I couldn't find an explanation for, but I believe in, in energy forces, and and it's way been proven now that solar flares really do mess things up on Earth, and including psychological things. But there was something about that croc and that monkey, that monkey knew it was time for it to die. There was some kind of strange energy. So when it came time for him to pass out, he didn't quite pass out right because he'd been used in too many other films. And I think I don't think you could do that now because of the SPCA, and almost half of the way through the film, feeling an interference, feeling or having suggestions imposed on me that didn't jibe with my through line, and so Marty and I squabbled a lot, and that would cause me to pack up my stuff, head toward the stage door, knowing that I wasn't. Well, one time I made it out to the trailer, Well, I had that feeling. I'm not sure that I didn't get my way all the time by fighting and just, screaming. And at least what was on paper, what was scripted, I really don't recall anything that was crucial that, that wasn't there. Once it had gotten locked on paper. I do remember there were a lot of things in the process of writing it, that there was going to be a hell of a lot more going on. Like there was Robert Englund's character had Buck had a kind of a gang that ran around with him. That at the end it was going to be much more climactic, much more hell was coming into focus. They were going to have skyrockets and Roman candles, that they were shooting at the place because they'd hated Judd anyway, because it was only Robert that could go get a room there, to do something that was offensive to Judd. I don't have a lens out here looking at myself in the way things should have been, would have been. I wasn't that deliberate with the creation of a career. I always thought about just the movie, to a fault. I know directors that think more about the overall picture of having a life and a career is more important than any singular part of that experience. I mean, but I'm so damn myopic that I'm only thinking about that. When I made Chainsaw, I, however, had made it as a reaction to everything I'd ever seen, and in particular the things that I had not seen. There were quite a few cinemas in Austin, Texas, that I would go to one or two of those during the day, and then at night would go to the drive-in theater and see films that were, B pictures and bad pictures. So there's a lot to be learned from bad films. I mean, you learn what not to do. I didn't really have the realization that a lot of these people wanted to work with me because of Chainsaw. I was just inside myself, and it took much longer to get a sense of that.